What's up, y'all? Boogie Night here, and welcome back to the Through the Pages podcast. Tonight, I am joined by a very special guest that I am honored and a little bit nervous to be interviewing. For those of y'all that are just joining me on Through the Pages used to be called Who's Your Creator and What Do They Do? But recently, it's now been expanded upon other creative ventures besides YouTubing, streaming, and all that stuff. So tonight, I am very honored to work with a very awesome writer, excellent author, and we'll get into more details as we pick her brain on these things, but I am joined by the very talented C.L. Dickson. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. We've been buddies probably for what, a couple weeks now?
Yeah, a couple of weeks it was, because it was our good friend who introduced us.
Shout out to Ray.
Yeah, hi Ray.
Yeah, so it's been really cool. I mean, kind of when we started talking, my first thought was I need to get you on the show just because you've been talking about your book. We'll get into that in a little bit, and just wanted to kind of pick your brain because I want to find out more about you, your inspirations, your goals, your ideas, and any kind of shenaniganery you care to divulge. Now, for those of y'all who are interested in more about Miss Dickson, I will post links in the description below to where you can acquire her latest book through Amazon in the US as well as the UK. You have an Amazon through the rest of Europe, I believe, or am I talking Claptrap?
No, yeah, I have it throughout the rest of Europe as well.
Okay, so links will be in the description below to those ways you can acquire her book, both electronically or, in my case, paperback. As well as ties to her social media, so you guys can get to know her as well. So with that being said, shall we get started?
Yeah, go for it. Lay them on me.
All right, let's do this. I start these off in the same way every cast. It's what inspired you to start writing?
Well, it was actually a really weird story what inspired me to write. I always liked the idea of writing, like in high school, but the version of me that really liked writing came out when I was 15. So I did something really naughty, and my dad grounded me. And back then, grounding meant taking away my electronics or not allowing me to watch Big Bang Theory, which I was obsessed with. So I was so bored that during that entire time, and I decided, you know what, Dad didn't say I couldn't write about it. So what I started to do was I picked up an old notebook, a pumpkin pad notebook that I had, and I started writing a Sheldon and Amy fan fiction. And that's really what got me into writing. And it was more of a hobby at first, but when I was in my last year of college, UK college, just to let y'all know. But
that's not a southern accent, y'all.
I don't know why I say that. Don't judge. I'm not trying to be y'all.
Whatever. It's the exotic look.
Yeah, I guess. But my teacher said to me, as well as applying for performing arts colleges, he said you should maybe apply for some creative writing. So I decided to do that, and when I got into uni to do creative writing, I've just wanted to do it ever since. Like, it's been such a good passion of mine for a few years now.
Nice. That's awesome. I mean, it's a craft that I feel like is underappreciated, not in the reading sense, but like in the amount of effort and creativity that goes into writing. As opposed to people be like, "Oh, I can write." I'm like, no, you can't. Writing your phone number on toilet paper does not count as creative writing. Okay.
That's just something you do when you're drunk.
I mean, well, yeah, or like you just are feeling particularly gauche and just want to be like, "Hey, how you doing?"
Yeah. Yep.
That's my poor Joey Tribbiani impression. Okay, so this next question is kind of a two-pronged one. The first bit is, who were some of your favorite authors growing up? And conversely, who are some of your favorite authors now?
Growing up, I really liked reading J.K. Rowling's books, the Harry Potter franchise. That was like my entire childhood. And along that, I read a lot of children's books. I can't remember the authors, but they were like people who wrote like Winnie the Pooh. A.A. Milne, wasn't it? I think it's him.
I think so.
Yeah, but he really inspired me when I grew up. As of right now, I'm still a little bit of a fan of J.K. Rowling, but I'm more of there's this new author who's also who's recently been publishing books called Vera Hollins. She's like a really good author and does her series. She published some books called Bullied, Pained, Damaged, Trapped, and Scarred. Two of which have already been published, and one is going to. And she's one of my favorite authors right now. Right, I have a lot of authors, but I can't think of them at the top of my head. But there was the author Alison Jeffers or something like that. She wrote In 27 Days, and she's another favorite author of mine. And that's all I can think of at the top of my head right now. But if I was to go upstairs, I could and look at my books. I could probably tell you what other authors I really like as well.
Sure. Yeah, now that'd be interesting for later on, just for because now that would save my own curiosity. Well, we'll take this a step further then. Did any of the authors that you covet inspire you? If so, how did they inspire you? Were there any outside other influences to inspire you, right, aside from your dad grounding you? I mean, what sort of, like, I guess, creative / writing inspirations did you have?
I read a lot of books about mental health as well, and I read them and they inspired me to write stories like that that could help benefit others. Like those books had helped me. So also Vera Hollins inspired me because she wrote about one of her characters. Well, a few of her main characters have had like a mental illness of some sort, and she's written about that very well. And when I was reading all these books and I was trying to figure out what type of writer I want to be, I decided that I want to write books to help benefit others. So, and also like highlight certain things that are not being discussed enough or being taken seriously. Like at the beginning of Trainwreck, I wrote because my main character Timothy Hall, he's a lawyer, and one of his cases was working with was helping a young person who had been sexually assaulted, and at first I reckoned people would think it was a female until later on when it's brought up that it's a young boy who's been like assaulted by a girl his age. So topics like that don't get enough recollection, I think should be highlighted more and discussed more. So that's kind of what I want to do in my writing. Just have people like think about certain things, like men can get abused as well, and that just because a man is apparently stronger than a female doesn't mean that the female can dominate a man.
Mm-hmm.
Or sensitive subjects like discrimination as well. That's another topic I like to write. I've got another book that I've been working on alongside with the sequel of Trainwreck. It's called Fight for Justice, and in it, it's basically talking about how, as a Catholic, I sometimes get people approach me and think that I'm homophobic or, horrible, and I kind of want to break that barrier down and just show that not every Catholic is that bad, that those Catholics there are just using it as an excuse to hate. And that's another subject I want to discuss and be like, it's not like that what they're saying is wrong, but and this is what I see religion as. So yeah, that's it really. It's pretty much that.
No, I mean, and that's extremely respectable that you are touching upon these subjects that are otherwise considered faux pas, so to speak, to kind of break that stigma. I feel like a lot of people are trying to broach it in a creative aspect, but it's not really translating well, I guess. I mean, for lack of a better description. And I really, like I said, appreciate and respect you for trying to break some of those things to normalize them. I think that's very well done. So let's take this in a more lighthearted approach with the next question. That would be, what are some of your favorite book genres and or types?
What do you mean by types? Like,
I mean, like, is there I mean, not just a genre, but is there like a specific like book style that you want to get into? Like, not if
so
we
like,
leave aside like romance or mystery or horror, like
tropes, you mean? Tropes.
Precisely. Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah. So I am a big. Obviously, my main genres that I really like are romance and action and adventure. And I'm getting really into horror. Like, I really like horrors. Like, I've started reading Ray's book, De Mortis, and I think it's like really, really good so far. And I can't wait to just keep reading it.
Yeah, shout out to Ray.
Shout out to Ray again.
Not a sponsor. No.
Nope. But those four are like my favorite genres to read about, because with horror, I love the suspense. I love not knowing what's going to happen when I turn the page. I also, some of the cliches in horror make me laugh as well. Like there's one character in particular who the druggie who's always right, but nobody listens to him because he's a druggie, and I just love that character.
Kind of like H.P. Lovecraft's concept about how like it's always the madmen that have the most insight.
Yeah, literally, it's very funny, and it's just like, how is he always right, and the people who aren't on drugs are absolutely stupid as anything. I don't know.
Do you agree? Have you ever read any H.P. Lovecraft as a sidebar?
No, I don't think so. I think I'd be too bad at it if I tried, because I'm not the best at writing that type of stuff.
The only reason I ask is because with you kind of slowly getting into horror, and I've talked several times about this in other like horror games that I play for my channel or discussions with Ray or other people. Mm-hmm. I think what I love most about Lovecraft is he just gives you enough detail for your mind to fill in the gaps.
I don't think I've tried that yet, so I'll have to give that a go and let you know how it goes with that.
It's entirely up to you. I would advise not to read Call of Cthulhu or Shadow over Innsmouth, because those, in my personal opinion, have been completely overplayed.
Yeah, fair enough. Good advice.
I'll send you some titles, some short stories of his that you might like, and then, but it's entirely up to you.
Oh yeah, I'd love that. Thanks very much.
Yeah, no problem.
Some tropes. My favorite trope of all is enemies to lovers. I just love it. Like, I'll look all day on Amazon just for a book that's where the two people hate each other and then just slowly progress to loving each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I haven't found, like, I'm trying to think of some books, but the stories by Vera Hollins, not sponsored, are also like my favorites. They're very. It's very hate to love, and I really love it. That's my main trope. That's always a trope I go for. Another trope I really love, like I really want to write this, is the trope where girls actually like each other and don't just hate each other in it. I can't stand when girls fight each other over a guy or just hate each other. I don't like it. I like it when they're all friends, and you need a bit of that girl love. So that's another trope. Tropes. I also like what other tropes? Oh.
Getting crap past the radar. That's my all-time favorite trope in anything.
I haven't heard that trope. What's that trope mean?
It's basically like when you get away like with like certain lewd or crude things, but it's done in such a manner that like you can sneak it by and go, wait, that just happened?
Oh, that.
Like, an example of that was, I don't know if you've ever watched the series Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Mm-mm.
It's basically where a guy and 2 or 3 robots like make fun of like terrible like direct-to-shitio movies. They were, and I was talking to my friend Harkov about this. They actually were watching a movie called Riding with Death when the title appeared. Mike, the maker, was, it's the Matthew Broderick story. And I'm just like, oh my God. Because he actually, by accidentally killed a woman that was riding shotgun with him when they were driving. So when you see Riding with Death, and you might say, the Matthew Broderick story, I'm like hardcover, like, well, that's just got crap past the radar. That's what I mean by that trope.
Oh, I don't think I've read any books like that, unfortunately.
I think the only book that really got crap past the radar for me was the Irish Country Doctor series.
I've heard of them.
Yeah, that's hilarious because the humor is just so dry and so sarcastic and a little bit stereotypical about like a small Irish village. It's like,
Yeah.
Well, he's hungover, so I'm gonna tell him give him a shot for malaria, but it's really just water. He'll feel nasty for a couple of days because I gave him the shot in his arse, but he'll be all right.
That is good. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I'll have to check them out. I have to do a lot more reading because I'm such a slow reader. It takes me at least a month to actually read just one book. Like, I'm so slow at it.
There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, because it helps you absorb the information as opposed to just speed reading. Like, okay, burp, done.
Yeah, but then you miss something because I'm always worried I'll miss something if I just go right past it. Like, there's nothing there.
You're not going to analyze all sorts of paragraphs and quotes to see like what sort of like inner meanings and silver linings are there. Like, I see what they did. Nope, never mind. False alarm.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. So your biggest release today is called Trainwreck. It recently came out, once again available for purchase all around the world. Links will be in the description below. This is a two-pronged question. The first one is, how did you come up with the idea for it? And secondly, how long did it take you to write it?
Right, so I'll start with the faster question, the how long it took to write it. So I started writing it last year in March, and it took a long time to like process that, like have it edited professionally, and then redrafted that. So I've only finished it a couple of months ago, so that was pretty interesting. I had the idea when I was on a train back home from Bath, and I was just listening to music with my notepad in front of me, just like, I don't know, I was probably just doodling or something. And I decided I was getting a bit hungry, so I went to my suitcase to grab the Pringles that were inside it. So I reached my hand in and I got the Pringles out. As I was getting them out, I looked around me and everyone was looking at me, and I thought to myself, what if people think I'm stealing this from my own bag? And then that idea just like that. It was like a light bulb, and I said to myself, what if there was a person on a train that stole because they were homeless, and then they accidentally steal from the wrong person, or in some cases the right person, and then they fall in love, and there's this big story. So on the train, I just started writing an outline, and I kept writing, and I kept thinking of more plot twists and more ideas. Because originally Timothy was actually a businessman, but I decided to change it last year February. So this year February, and I thought I'll just change it to a lawyer because that could lead to more ideas. Yeah, and then it just went from there, and I just started writing it, and I didn't think I'd ever publish it because most of my stories are like, I'm just going to write them for fun or for family and everything, but it was quite weird that was the first story that the first story that I'm ever going to publish.
No, I mean, that's awesome. I mean, I'm really happy. I mean, because you and I were talking just before it was released, so like, and you sent me a few snippets and whatnot and teasers, and like, to sound completely gauche, and I apologize if this offends anyone, the teasers you sent me sucked me in like $1,000 hooker.
Well, that's good in a certain way. It's good.
Yeah, there's a good. Well, yeah, I mean, there is a good thing behind it. Like, it was really intriguing, and I couldn't wait to buy it. So, and I'm happy it arrived. So, awesome. And obviously, since I haven't finished Trainwreck, since I just got it, and you already alluded to this, but so you're anticipating writing a sequel and/or a spinoff to it?
Yes, a sequel. It's there's a character. So in the beginning of the story, we find out that my main character Tara has a daughter called Mia, and so the whole story kind of unfolds about what happened with her and her daughter, and as well as other things. and in the end, there is a cliffhanger, which I won't spoil, but there is a cliffhanger which has like, it kind of ties everything together, but at the same time, it kind of adds another question to it, like why or anything like that. And I thought this is this story here is just a love story, and as well as learning about these two characters. So the second story is more about Tara's daughter and like them two reuniting together, but also having like a lot of problems, like things just popping up and separating them. And you know, it's like, it's basically just finishing off and summarizing all of the rest, summarizing all of the plots that I've put out there in my first book.
That's interesting. I mean, I'm not digging for spoilers, but is the sequel going to be from Tara's perspective or from Mia's perspective?
Bit of both. Like this first one is all about Tara and Timothy's perspective and how they see things, but it's going to be the same with Orphan Rat, but it'll be a lot of Mia's perspective as well, because I'm going to try and think how to word this without spoiling it, but Mia goes through a lot in this second book, so it would make more sense for me to have all the attention directed at her and this moment and her. So it is more, it's Tara's story, but it's also Mia's. It's like more Mia's story than Tara's. Tara's had her story where she's fallen in love and she's had all this stuff happen to her, and the next story is just about Tara finally being with her daughter, but also having people from her past come in and just spoil everything, and Mia has to put up with all of this drama and everything that her mum has brought along with her from her past. So the second book is more, it's definitely still adult, so no, I wouldn't recommend children reading it, but it is more told from the point of view of Mia and everything that's happening around her. So that's like basically what that story is about.
Interesting. Well, you've already hooked me now for the second book. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm glad I managed to explain it without stuttering too much.
Once again, you're very eloquent, so I wouldn't be too concerned about that.
Thank you.
Okay, so next question. You kind of already alluded to this, but at the same time, I do want to dig to get a go, no-go for launching this one. Now, have you written any published stories prior to Train Rat? If so, but they weren't published, would you consider releasing them?
So, any books that I've written before? Yeah, but I mean, I've written quite a lot of stories. Like, I started off on Wattpad when I was 15, and I wrote most of my stories there and published them. But I've taken them down. But there is one story that I wrote maybe when I was 16 that I really liked. It was a fantasy story, and I really liked the idea. So I'm actually thinking of changing that story, rechanging it and making it more better, because I can make it a little bit more better because it was not planned the first time. But I'm thinking of rewriting that one and making that, it's a trilogy, so I'm going to try and make those 3 books after I've finished all of the others that I've started. So I think if I have a good idea, I will probably use it, but it has to be like something that I think is going to do well. Because a lot of my stories are very much a little bit like After. Not very good. Basically, I remember writing a story that was almost like After, like this bad boy meets this girl who isn't into him, and then he tries to force her to fall in love with him, and then decides to break up with him, but then he actually falls in love with her.
Very Cruel Intentions-ish. Very much like the movie Cruel Intentions.
Yeah, I just think it's probably not a good idea to publish any of those type of stories because they're so bad. I can't even read them. I read them when a friend of mine, if they're upset, I will read them that book and be like, look at how crap my writing is back then, and laugh at it all you want.
Well, if you ever want to send it to me, I am your marketing person, so
Yeah, I'll let you know. I'll
uh,
send you in, and you can be like, thank God you don't write like this anymore.
it's a learning experience. Hey, some of the stuff that I wrote when I was younger, absolute proper rubbish. I mean, most of the stuff I write now is proper rubbish. So, you know,
Don't be so harsh on yourself.
well, I was raised Catholic like you, so I mean, it kind of comes with the territory.
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly. All right, next question. Now, you are self-published, correct?
Yes, I'm self-published.
What made you decide to go the avenue of self-publish rather than go through a company?
So at the beginning, when I first wrote Trainwreck, I actually did send it off to agencies and publish to some agencies, and they all said no, clearly, because I think when I look back at it, I'm like, yeah, that isn't very good. And after that, I sent it off to my editor. Right my wrongs, they're American, they're very good. I asked them to edit it for me, and they did, and it was really good. And when I started looking through it, I was chatting to my really good friend Tashi. She's also the person who designed the cover for Train Rats and like helped me edit it a lot. She said to me, Casey, you should maybe try and do self-publishing because it might be easier, and because you might come across some people who pretend to be publishers but are actually like not that good and probably will take all my money away from me, or stuff like that. So
Swindlers.
like maybe I don't know. I just didn't want to trust anyone with my book, and my friend agreed. We were like, we shouldn't trust anyone with it. Like, well, yeah, trust people with it, but at the same time, like, careful. And so I said to her, maybe I should publish on Amazon like some other people do, like Vera has done the way Vera did it.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, yeah, you should. And then that's just how it came to be. I just thought I want to be able to keep my book to myself, and also I could probably do promoting pretty easily by myself and all that. So I said, why not? I'll just give it a go. And if it doesn't work out, I'll just find somebody else to publish it like next year. So far it's going pretty good. So I do like the idea of self-publishing because it's a lot easier.
Mm-hmm. That actually kind of dovetails into the next question: is do you think you're going to stay self-published, or not even just aside from the fact if the right offer comes along, even if that's not the case, do you think you'll stay self-publishing, or do you think you'll eventually segue as you get more notoriety and familiarity? Do you think you'll move into a publishing company?
I think I will. With Orphan Rat, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to publish that on Amazon because it makes more sense for the two books to be published the same. And with my next book, Fight for Justice, I might send it off to like agencies and see how it goes. And if they like it and want to represent me, then I'll be very happy about that. But if not, I'll do it the same way. So it all depends on how it goes and if people like it, and if yeah, it does depend really if people like it. But I think because of the way when I had Trainwreck not published but edited, it's it when I had Trainwreck edited professionally, I look back at it and it just released this inner editor in me, and all of a sudden now when I look at things, I'm like, that's unrealistic, change that, do that. I think I could easily now probably hopefully find another publishing agency that isn't Amazon to help me with my book and everything.
Nice. I mean, that's a good way to do it. And once again, to dovetail into my next question on top of that, you have talked about Fight for Justice and Orphan Rats. Aside from those two books, do you have any ideas for future stories or writings and works?
Oh, well, I have an awful lot of ideas. Like, I've got many on my phone. In fact, I'll show you because I've got this section on my phone where I changed the color of my notes, so if they're story ideas, they just do that. So all of like these pink ones here, they're just like all of these are just stories and all of that. So like, yeah, I have many ideas that I want to do, but I'm also, like I've said, I'm working on a series called a fantasy series. The first book's called Beyond the Wall, and it's going to be about. I haven't fully come up with the idea yet, but basically how it's going to go is this this girl called Zola. She lives in a fantasy world, and all the humans, they have to live behind a wall, because outside of the wall is where all the creatures and the creatures that want to hurt them and everything can live, and they can hurt them. Well, one day a werewolf gets in, and it affects a lot of people, and also kills a lot of people. So the mayor of that town decides that the people who are infected have to leave and go join the wolf pack, because it's safer for the other humans. And so that's like the baseline of the story. So I haven't actually like thought of it just like all completed, but that's a story idea I want to keep working on. I mean, I've started creating this world because I think world creating will take years to do. So while I'm working on my other 2 books, I can be like, I'm just going to create this on the side of it, like come up with background, religion, all that type of stuff for this world. So that's something I definitely want to work on. And as for other ideas, I do have some ideas which are love stories, obviously, but they're more focusing on like type of most of them are all mainly focusing on mental health and talking about it and getting people to understand what it is like to have this mental health. I mean, I don't have mental health, but I mean I do, but not the ones I write about. So I write about. I just want to like make people aware of what it is to be like. Just make people more understanding of it and understand what it's like to like live with that and how those people are probably feeling. So I'll probably just stay along those lines and keep writing those stories as well.
Nice. And that ties into the next question. What goals do you have for the next year or 2 years or however long you want to postulate?
Definitely, my goal is to make Train Rat a bit more widely known and have people get interested in it and reading it, and also work on Orphan Rat and trying to like finish that and make it like as perfect as I can, to like make sure it maybe tops the first one a bit more. And those are my real goals at the moment, just focusing on the promotion of Train Rat and writing Orphan Rats. And maybe diving into a bit of Fight for Justice, but not as much. So that's my goal for this year.
Nice. That's a really good goal to have with everything. And speaking of marketing stuff, there's a couple of ideas I want to broach by you after we get off the air, but that's for when we're done with this. This is more focused on you. So this brings me to my last question. What do you like to do when you're not writing?
Playing the guitar. I have my guitar like right behind me. I don't know if you can see it. Nah, it's on the other side.
A little bit.
That was my water. Whoops. Look, I like playing my guitar, which is right there.
Nice.
Also reading. Other hobbies. There's not much to do right now because of this pandemic, but I like to hang out with my friends. I like to go out for a drink or something with my friends, or just chat with people, and that's about it. That's mainly what I do most of the time, just play my guitar and read and hang out with my friends. But obviously it's a bit more harder to do any of that because of this pandemic and everything. I like the idea of doing other things as well, like experiencing things like rollerblading, which I'm never going to do again because I've done that and it's painful.
Boy. It's not that bad.
I fell on my butt and I couldn't walk or sit for like 2 weeks.
Statement withdrawn.
Yeah, it was painful. But also, I really love skiing. Like, my family and me, we go skiing quite a bit in Austria, and it's lovely. I haven't been for months and, well, maybe years, but I'd definitely love to do that and, have a bit of fun and, do that type. I just want to go skiing again soon. Hopefully maybe this year if I can.
I haven't been skiing in years. It's been a hot minute since I've done that. Of course, every time I go skiing, I'm afraid I'm going to pull a Sonny Bono and smack into a tree.
Oh, you got to make sure you find the right slopes, though. The slopes I go on in Austria, there's one in the city. I'm not even sure if it's the city. I'm very bad at geography, but a place called Galdia is where I go skiing. It's in Ischgl, and it's just lovely. The slopes there are nice. No trees. There are a few trees, but that depends what slopes you go down. They have different they color coordinate the slopes. So blue is for like new beginners. Red are getting there. Black is for hardcore skiers.
It's kind of like what we do in America, yeah, because we usually will color code like green for the newbies, and then like blue for the intermediates, and blacks are like really really good, and then the double blacks are vaya con Dios, good on.
Just like this, just a straight line. If you stop, you're probably gonna never go.
Exactly. Cross country skiing, I love, but I haven't had enough snow for that to happen.
No, the worst thing is when there's black ice and you're going down a slope. Oh, I mean, I pray to God more times on that than I ever did in school. Like, I'm like, please God, don't let me die. Just let me get down this slope peacefully.
So you go full on Game of Thrones. Not today.
No, full on Game of Thrones. My dad is a skiing instructor, so he's very good at skiing. So he's always like encouraged me to do skiing, and I've skied since I was 3. So wow. It's not too bad. But when
better you than me.
You'll be fine. I think if you got back into it, it's a bit like riding a bike. You just have to familiarize yourself with it, and you'll be as good as gold.
Oh, I appreciate the confidence. Well, thanks again for taking the time to chat and for us to get to know you quite a bit. It's definitely been an honor again on my end.
Thanks for having me. I've loved it.
Once again, for those of y'all who are watching this, I will put a link in the description below where you can get her copy of Trainwreck, her debut book. It's available on Amazon. Links will be going there once again for Europe, England, the UK, pardon me, and America, as well as links to her social medias, so y'all can get an opportunity to find out more about her. Highly recommend checking her out. She's an incredible author. So with that being said, thank you again, Ms. Dickson. I really do appreciate your time. And for those of y'all who want to find out more about the Boogie Night Project, as always, links are in the description below to my channels, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, even though that's kind of defunct, and of course my Patreon if you are morbidly curious to see how you can support the project. And once again, a big thank you to Ray for introducing us. Without her, I don't think we would have had this opportunity, as well as future opportunities.
Thanks very much, Ray.
So with that being said, I hope y'all have a fantastic night. And I will catch y'all on the flip side, all right? Peace.